Michael Wallace with CoreLogic, Robert Wilson or Rob Wilson with Corning, Tina Martin with BigCommerce, Kevin Dillon with EK Systems, Kathleen Allred with Amar, and Lindsay, of course, you just heard from. So why don't I give Lindsay a time to catch her breath? And let's start it off with, or Voss, maybe I should ask you, do
I
you want to
can
lead?
moderate this session, yes. And I
Yeah, why don't
encourage
you
all
lead
of
this?
the almost 200 people in the audience to ask your questions about career. But maybe let's start with the question to all of you one by one very shortly. If you woke up today and it's like 1982 again, and you could give yourself advice from today's perspective to when you were graduating from college. So basically all of our students will be graduating within the next year or two. So what would be that one thing that you today would want to share with you back then?
Great question. So, do we want to start with Michael Wallace?
Oh wow, that's a good one. 1982 was a good year too. Let's see. I would probably tell myself to slow down, take
Slow
the
down.
time to make the right decisions because I felt so much pressure to have a job lined up as soon as I graduated college that I probably was reaching for the first role that was available to me because part of that was the economy at the time. But if I had taken a little bit more time, I probably would have made a different decision for the first role I had. Although I look back on it with, I'm glad I had the experience and I learned a lot about myself in that role. But it wasn't my life's calling for sure. So I would probably tell myself to take your time, take a breath, look across your options. Try to get in touch with what it is you really want to do, because that's important. And then search out a company that helps match what your expectations are. Try to learn about their culture so that you have a good fit in that aspect. So just take some time and be a lot more thoughtful in your decision in your next step after college. And by the way, let me give you some background. So I'm Michael Wallace. I graduated from UNCG in 1987, a long time ago. I've been in the basically the mortgage business on and off for the last 30 plus years. I work at CoreLogic now, which is a data and information solutions company that specializes in primary residential collateral data. I lead a team of about 19 client success managers across the country. And we're a global enterprise. And I'm super happy to be here today. I got to tell you, I've been listening in for the past hour, so impressed with how thorough each one of these presentations has been. And I've been trying to make some comments in the chat section, but really lots of alignment with what I see in the business world, with how you're preparing, how you're executing on these reports. So just, good work. Like, that's awesome. I feel super hopeful about each one of you guys having a wonderful career based on what I've heard today.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you. Who wants to go next?
Robert Wilson. I'm gonna call on him, Voss. We'll do it like we'll just call him.
University style, right?
Yeah, good. Thank you for having me for the panel. I think it's a great opportunity, and I thank everyone for the invitation. My name is Rob Wilson. Actually, I graduated UNCG 2002, so a little after you, Mike. There. When you say added 82, I wanted to say, can we move that up a little? I was a little kid then.
Choice, so. 2002.
Yeah, that's a little better. I was a little baby, like, probably then. Yeah, so graduated in 2002, went there to a bank. My major was finance, so everyone knows. So I'm a numbers guy. Went to a bank for about 6 months, absolutely hated it. Sitting down at a desk for 8 hours a day, being told you can use the bathroom for 30 minutes, be back. It wasn't my thing. So went there, took a position at A&T State University. I was there as a program manager for about 2 years, and then I transitioned there to a organization in Greensboro called the Center for Creative Leadership, which is one of the world's world-renowned centers for leadership development. Spent 15 years there in positions where I was a program manager, was able to work with Fortune 100 companies and figure out what was the essence that made them great and develop, design leadership development programs for them. Left there. Now I'm in a current role. I work for Corning Incorporated, which I know everyone asks me, oh yeah, Corning, they make the dishes. I get that all the time. And yes, they did make the Corelle. We did make Corelle dishes, but we sold that business years ago. We're in the anything glass business now. So all your smartphones, all your iPads, all your phones, we make the glass for that. We make the glass for your TVs. We're into the fiber optics business, which we have about 7 fiber optic plants here in North Carolina. So there is glass on your fiber optics. So your 5G, all of the AI stuff, we do that. All of your auto glass in Corning. So one of our slogans when we really talk about sales is more Corning products. And so we're everywhere you wouldn't even know. My job right now is learning and development manager. So what in Corning, we're at 60,000 employees. 85% of them are engineers and scientists. And so my role is for the engineers, about 10,000 engineers, really focus on their learning and development and their training. And so that's what my role is now. To answer your question, the biggest thing I would tell my younger self is to most definitely understand the power of connection to people, networking. And so everyone on the panel, I'm pretty sure, could come off mute and really attest to this. It's really about making meaningful connections and having those long-lasting connections, because when you move on with your career, we look at the hiring practices now. Long are gone the days, Mike, in '82, where you can go to a company and fill out an application by paper and then get someone to call you. That's not happening. Mostly it's done by networking and you knowing someone inside the company, or someone that knows someone, and really making meaningful connections. And so the biggest thing with me, or I would give my younger self advice, is connect more and build a robust network, because it will come in handy in the long run.
Perfect. Thank you, Rob. That is excellent advice.
What is it?
Next on my list,
It's not
go
what
ahead.
you know, it's whom you know or who
Who you
knows
know,
you,
yeah.
right?
Most definitely.
Yeah, most jobs don't come by applying online. They come through a connection, is what Rob just said. Tina Martin, why don't you go next, Tina?
Sure, thank you. So I'm Tina Gardner Martin, and I will give you a little bit about myself like the other two guys did, and I will share with you, I do agree with their advice, by the way. So, but I'll give you a little piece that's different too in just a second as well. I currently work for a company called BigCommerce, which is an e-commerce company that does it powers your online shopping experiences. Before that, I was with companies like Crocs and Hey Dude, which was based in Broomfield, Colorado. Was there for a couple of years, and the 10 years before that with VF Corporation, where they are Vans, Timberland, and North Face, Smartwall, a lot of big brands. So the last really 15 years, I've been with companies that are your retail digital experiences. And that's what I have been doing lots of, is the HR and digital transformation world, and love every minute of it. And what I currently do today, I'm the Senior Director of People Experience for BigCommerce, and that is a global company. I head up the HR business partners, the talent development, and the talent acquisition teams. And I'm getting ready to take on our first real experiences with people analytics, which is also near and dear to me. It is really exciting to be here. I went to UNCG, and I will say that I graduated somewhere between Michael and Rob, and I won't tell you. Ask me. But I love UNCG, and I am excited for all of you students. I have kids that are close to your ages, one that just graduated about a year ago and one that is a sophomore in college. So I will tell you what I tell my younger self, which is them. And that is not only what Michael and Rob are saying, but also don't be afraid of failure. Don't be afraid to take risks. I think those things go hand in hand. at the time that I graduated, and even my kids, they're so afraid of making a wrong decision or a wrong choice. And it's going to be okay. Whether it be that you make a mistake in a job or whether you make a mistake taking your first job, it is your first job, and learn everything that you can there and transition on, and you'll be fine. I'm telling my son that right now, that if he feels like a year in that this is not quite the right fit, continue to learn all he can and then determine the time to make the right transition. Don't be afraid to make a mistake, because if you own up to it, take ownership, be accountable, you're going to learn something from that too, both that you get respect from your boss and you get respect from your teammates, but also you learn to fix things. And so make sure that you're not afraid to take risks, not afraid to fail, and that you just learn something along the way, and that you adapt and you adjust along the way. So I'm hoping that's helpful for you. Also, I see a lot of you saying, hey, here's my LinkedIn. I will ask you guys, I'm out on LinkedIn, so please find me. I will accept your LinkedIn request. I'm not sure if I'm going to remember all of your names unless I get a sheet from Vaz or Thad here, but please feel free to reach out to me, and I'm happy to connect with you at any time and chat. So anyway, thanks for having me here.
Thank you. Thank you. So Thad, who goes next?
Excellent advice. We appreciate it. I was talking, but I was muted. I'm sorry. We've got Kevin Dillon and then Kathleen Allred, and then we'll let Lindsay ask that question now that she's caught her breath.
Hey, good day, everybody. My name's Kevin Dillon. I am a graduate from UNCG, class of 1998, with a BS degree in marketing. And today I work for a company called TEKsystems. We are a technology services and solutions organization, a global company, privately held, out of Baltimore. And the advice that I would provide the youth of today, or my younger self, would be I agree with what everyone else said, but I would also ask that you look around and interview at a bunch of different places. I had no idea what I wanted to be when I grew up. I wasn't particularly sure how I was going to apply my new degree, and whether it was going to be marketing research or advertising or sales or global business or something else. So I interviewed for a handful of different opportunities until I found the right company and the right position that felt right for me. I might be a little bit of an anomaly. I've been with TEKsystems for over 25 years. This is the first company that I've worked for upon graduation from UNCG. I actually met them at a career fair. So that's my advice.
Great, Kevin. Okay, how about we go to Kathleen next?
Morning, everybody. Thank you for having me. And I actually had the pleasure of seeing this morning and hearing all of your presentations, which were really, really great to hear, very impressive. And some unsolicited advice I would give you all is make sure that you play this up on your resume, because it's a great experience that you're getting today. And you want to make sure that new employers or prospective employers see this and understand what you've been a part of, because it's really impressive. I too graduated from UNCG in 1995 and kind of fell into HR. So I've been in HR for my entire career. I grew up at Krispy Kreme, where I spent the good majority of my career, and was actually fortunate to go through a lot of different roles and get promoted there. And right now I work for a company called Amar, which is based in Winston-Salem, and I'm the VP of HR. And Amar is a global brand. So we're actually based out of Sweden, but we've got 65,000 employees around the world. And so a lot of what you're doing and your experience right now are so relevant. I have those challenges in my day-to-day job and trying to figure out how I'm going to work with people and manage the time zones and things like this. So great experience you're getting. Advice I would give my former self is it's okay if you don't know what you want to do. I think we all have this pressure that we have to go out, we have to find a job, we need to know what we want to be when we grow up. I'm a grown-up. I'm not always sure that I know what I want to do, or if this, maybe I should make a change. Did I do it right? It's okay. Take time. Figure out what you want to be. Figure out where you want to go. This is the time to experiment. So take a job that, you know, that you get offered that maybe you don't think is what you want to do with the rest of your life. But that job, no matter what it is going to give you experience that's going to be helpful. I said I kind of fell into HR. I graduated with a degree from UNCG in human development and family studies. My goal was to go back and be a child therapist. So I got a job so that I could earn some money to go back to school. And so it was just a temporary thing for me that turned out, you know, I fell into HR and it turned out to be my passion. And I never looked back. So it's okay to experiment and try new things and just be open-minded. Like Tina was saying, I have kids that are in college right now and I'm giving them very similar advice. Be open-minded. You don't know what you don't know. And so just remember that and try new things while you have the opportunity. So I hope that's helpful.
That is great. And just one comment, Kathleen, sort of a personal comment. I grew up, my family was very good friends with the Brenner family over here in Winston-Salem. That's where I live. And I'm very good friends with all the sons, I guess, and daughters of the Brenner family. So I know the Amar name very, very well.
You know Amar well, yes.
Brenner
Small.
family's an exceptionally great family, to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Lindsay, do you want to answer the question? And then we'll give students time to maybe pipe in with a few questions of the panelists.
Would have you
Sure.
started My Better Batch 10 years earlier? Would that be the advice or not?
I don't think so. I don't think so. In just a little background on me, I too am a Spartan. So I graduated from UNCG in 2003. Unlike most of you on this call, my degree is not in business or anything close to that. I graduated with a degree in exercise and sports science. My goal was to go into sports management, and here I am in food 20 years later. And so I think that kind of plays into what I wish I would have known, which is very similar advice to what everyone else has given. But I wish I knew that success isn't always a straight line. In fact, it's a long, winding road, and it's okay not to have everything figured out, like some have already said. You're not locked into a career path, and every role and every experience that you have really teaches you something that you can take, both good and bad, that you can take to the next place you end up. And I think it teaches you something very valuable. I think some of my most valuable experiences have been the ones that are not so great, because they really have taught me about what I don't want to do versus what I do want to do. And they've really refined how I look at business and who I want to be and who I want to employ and who I want to engage with. And there is not such thing as a perfect job. I wish I would have also understood that. And I also would echo the sentiment of networking. In my industry, especially, it is a very large industry, but when you boil it all down, it is very small, and people end up all over the place in roles that, I'll give an example. I hired someone. I used to work for the Fresh Market, which is a specialty retail grocery store here in Greensboro. I was part of that organization as they were growing, and they were still family owned and operated. I hired someone there to do a PR role who is now in a position of leadership. She's the president of a grocery retailer out in California. And so, you know, as I sit here trying to sell groceries into the grocery store, I need her. And so, you know, no burning bridges, building that network and is really important.
Perfect. And I've got one piece of advice that I tell my students all the time about networking. It goes to what all of you have said. Don't be afraid, or I encourage you to get off of the social media and talk to people in person. So many of the younger folks, the students that are on this broadcast here, are afraid to talk to anybody. They'd much rather text or email or whatever. Go see people, go talk to them. So that's my advice. With that said,
if I may ask, so there is a question on that. So Randall Kress is asking, so how would you recommend reaching out to people? So what is the acceptable protocol? I suppose we can connect on LinkedIn, but I'm not sure if that alone is enough. So all of you talked about the importance of the network. So how would you recommend these young people connect with future partners, employers, professional connections?
Yeah, so I don't know, you know, back then, and I will say back then because all of us are back then, what type of events are being hosted today. I know when I was in college, there were socials that you went to, there were gatherings that you could go and meet people. And so I think my assumption is, I don't know if that's still going on today. I don't know what the new uh, thing is now. And I know it has something to do with social media. They have probably groups that you can become a part of, professional groups and things and that. And I would say definitely utilize that. And for me, it was easier for me because I'm an extrovert, so I'm a people's person anyway. So I like connecting. But whatever today's time, whatever is that venue to be socially engaged with people and to go out and there's associations that you can join. There's business associations that you could join. Even I know Toastmasters was a big thing. It still is. That has nothing to do with business. That's really teaches people how to be effective public speakers. But that's an opportunity to meet people. There's fraternities, there's sororities, there's all types of social things. So that is the encouragement. Find whatever that is and then become an active participant in that.
I 100% agree with everything Rob said, and I'm going to put in a shameful plug for the Bryan School Alumni Association. I'm a board member there as well. There are about 16, 17 of us on the board. I actually had the outreach committee, and one of the ideas that we had, unfortunately, we didn't have the bandwidth to tackle it this year, was to host a summit of sorts where we would tap seniors and other folks within the business school, and we would come in and sort of have a speed dating interview practice for those individuals. So the folks on the board would represent potential employers, and we'd be asking questions of the students, so that would give them a prep for interviews in the real world. And so what I would say there is don't forget your back door, right? You've got all these folks at UNCG or involved in UNCG that have careers that could be great networking opportunities for you guys. And I put my LinkedIn in the chat, so please feel free to reach out. And then the other thing, and I haven't heard it mentioned yet, but college internships are huge. I think my company in particular, we probably have about 100 interns every year. And through that, the goal really is, let's set these folks up so that we can bring them back in once they graduate. So that really is our desire as an organization. And we're not alone. Tons of companies like us want to do the same thing. So keep your eyes open for potential college internships.
So, and UNCG students, we do it all the time. Don't miss these opportunities. And those of you at other universities, I'm pretty sure you do something similar there as well. So when you see those ads about company fairs or meetings or networking lunches or things like that, don't miss them. Very important.
So there was a question in here that just popped up from Susie Moreno. It said, how do we navigate feeling a bit intimidated when approaching someone successful? Well, it just went away, so I didn't get the rest. Same kind of give an idea of that. It's intimidating going up to people you don't know, but try to find a connection, I guess, would be my advice. Through what Michael just said, your alumni networks, whatever network, see if there's some kind of a connection you can find that can reach out. And I'm not ashamed to go ask someone by email or by LinkedIn, just would you be willing to talk to me? And my son actually got a job offer from someone he didn't know through LinkedIn. He reached out to someone just random, and he ended up getting the job.
There was a very interesting episode of Freakonomics Radio a few weeks ago. They talked about the value of being in a fraternity or sorority. So they say the GPA will go down. So those who are in these student organizations tend to have a lower GPA, but the expected value is about plus $12,000 a year in pay. And they think the reason being is that that's networking. So you not only meet people, you build your professional network, but also you learn how to navigate these sometimes, living with a bunch of people in those frat houses and maybe organizing parties and things like that. So basically the idea is that university is not only lectures, it's also what happens between the lectures. And so these student clubs and things like that actually can have a huge impact on your future career in a good way.
I like what everyone has said about don't be scared to fail. That goes to the question that was in the chat. How do you approach someone? Just do it. They might be gracious and say, yes, I don't mind. And then just be prepared that they might, the bandwidth or their position, they might not be available, or you have to go through an admin. But I think that's the way to do it, is just try to do it. From my experience, most successful leaders understand the principle that you reach one, you teach one. And they wouldn't have become successful if it wasn't for somebody helping them. So for my line of business and my understanding, successful leaders are always going to be willing to give back. And so even I would encourage it to most students, even if you encounter a leader who's not on that same wavelength, don't get discouraged. Take it as it is, and move on to the next one.
And one thing I advise students all the time is don't go to network with someone and asking for a job. Go to them and ask for advice. You know, and if they have a job, they may offer you one, but don't ever go and say, I need a job. Can you help me?
And come prepared with a few questions and open-ended questions to get that person talking about their experience and their career. Because if you get them talking, that's a long way in building a relationship with that individual.
Yeah, and there's a
good transition.
question coming in here. It says, can we have access to a successful business personnel who will coach us how to get through the ups and downs in business? Well, I know here at UNCG and most universities, no matter where you are in the world, have an office of professional and career development, where they can give you interviewing techniques, advice techniques, networking techniques. So take advantage of that. I'm surprised at how many students don't use those services that you're technically paying for in whatever school you're attending.
Good transition to the next question. So all of you are top managers, company owners, and you hire people, I assume. So what are you looking for in applicants for jobs at your companies? I assume it's not only the GPA or not only the credentials, right? What else?
So can I start?
Please.
I'd love to answer, because this is something that I'm asked a lot. And, you can find people often that have the skills you're looking for, but you really want to find somebody who's also going to have the competencies or the underlying culture fit. And I'm not going to say just culture fit, because it's more about their aptitude and attitude and willingness to do certain things. And I'm going to go into that just really quickly. And that is, they're resilient. They are able to bounce back. So it goes back to my earlier comment. They are not afraid to fail, and they're going to learn from it. They have a growth mindset. So they're always wanting to learn. They're not going to say, no, that's not my job. That's outside of what I do. They're willing to take on other responsibilities and be team players and help others out. So in other words, they're going to lift others up and help us get there. And they're also going to be the type of people who are accountable for their own work and who take ownership and who look to really make sure that they are meeting those goals. So they're going to be super adaptable, have a lot of grit and resilience. They are going to be accountable for their work. They're going to be team oriented and not averse to risk. So those are just a few things. And I'll bet the rest of this group has some others that would fit into those types of buckets that are those capabilities that aren't just hard skills. They're the soft skills. That's probably a better way to put it.
Maybe I'll even refine the question. So the last one or several people you hired, what attracted you in those specific applicants specifically?
Those are the types of things. We're at my company, we are looking for both the technical skills. Do they fit these types of skill sets? So for example, we might be looking for a software engineer, but we interview for the software engineering technical skills along with what we call our bucket 2, which are those soft skills or our values, things that represent like that team orientation, the resilience and grit, I am accountable for my own work and I am not afraid to be there for my team member. And I'm going to use one more word that we've termed a word called ambitious at Big Commerce. It is somebody who is both humble but ambitious, because we don't want somebody who's going to be arrogant about how they work. But we want them to, so we want them to be humble enough that, they are, have the mindset that they are willing to do the dirty work if they have to get it done. It goes back to, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get us to where we need to go. But they're ambitious because they want to continue to grow. So they're ambitious because they want to continue to learn. They're ambitious because if they fail, they're going to bounce back up. They're going to be resilient and they're going to continue to learn. So I hope did that answer the question?
Yep, I guess, yep, gives us
So
a
we'll interview
really-
soft skills and those technical skills.
I really like that, Tina, because I think we all look for people who have the skill set that we're looking for, but I think many of those qualities that you just outlined some of them are not teachable skills. You either have that in you or you don't. And so I tend to go with a candidate who may not have all of the technical skills that I'm looking for, but does have a lot of those soft skills that Tina pointed out, because I know that with those type of people on my team, not only will they be great teammates and not only will they work really hard for the company, but they're going to learn what you need them to know. They're going to learn those technical things that they may not be proficient in right now. And so those are really critical.
So if I can throw in some advice on the actual interview process, I'm in the middle I'm hiring 7 people right now, so I'm sort of knee deep in that. So a lot of organizations, and Tina, this is exactly in line with what you and Lindsay both were saying about, sort of soft skills, but maybe the term that's used a lot is core competencies, right? So we have positions that have assigned core competencies to them. So you have to have these competencies in order to be successful in that role. And so the advice I would give is in the early screening process with recruiters, because typically there's a recruiter that talks to you first, go ahead and ask the question about what are the core competencies that you're looking for in that role, because then you can prepare yourself for questions that are going to come up about those core competencies. And a lot of companies like the one I work for, we use behavioral-based interview questions. So it's tell me about a time when you were on a team and somebody wasn't carrying their weight. What did you do? Okay, so that I'm giving you this advice because I think that's a way to prepare for some of those interview questions in advance. So know the core competencies for the role, then Google what are some behavioral-based interview questions for those core competencies, and then be prepared to answer in that vein, because I think that'll really help prepare you for an interview.
ChatGPT is extremely good at rehearsing these kinds of things. So you can talk to it, it will give feedback. So use it, it's free, and it's essentially an interview practice.
And in line with what Michael said, a lot of companies will post those core competencies or capabilities in the job description themselves, or they may have like their values, or they may even call it core competencies on their website. So go out and check it out. I mean, actually investigate it, because you can actually get a lot of insight about the company and what they're going to ask you about. And we use those behavior-based types of interviews as well. So great advice, Michael.
So we're getting more and more questions from students, but I would like to ask one more specific technical question. How do you recruit your people these days? I hear so much from the students who say, I applied for 100 jobs, whatever platform they use, and nobody even responds to me. So what platforms do you use? Maybe they just apply through their own channels. Maybe that's not how companies look for employees. So what are your recruitment channels?
We still use our applicant tracking system. We're getting ready to move over to a new one. We use Green Day now, just to be technical. We're going to go to Workday. So if you apply online, we still use that resource. We also use LinkedIn, and we do a lot of sourcing on LinkedIn, and we're set up so that if somebody applies through LinkedIn, it goes into our applicant tracking system. A lot of companies are getting great tools through AI that they're getting better and better at really being able to hone in and identify candidates in their ATS system or applicant tracking system through better tools. We have not implemented a new tool, but those that I have talked to have really honed in so that if you are trying to get attention, what I might recommend, and some of you on this panel may have some other suggestions, but I would actually carve out like some bullets on my resume right now if I wanted to be noticed that are targeting things that somebody's asking for. So if someone is asking for specific skill sets, I would make sure that my resume specifically states those skill sets so that they're picked up by that applicant tracking system when the recruiters are doing a search. So let's say the core competencies are someone who is a team player, has a growth mindset, has software developing skills. I'm going to call out all of those types of things that I see from that job ad in like bullet format so that they are picked up from that applicant tracking system so that it's just very specific. Other
Again, if I
panelists?
may, a specific question. I had a conversation with this student a couple of days ago, and it's a very typical conversation. They say, I'm looking for a job. I see a posting, for example, on LinkedIn specifically, and the job was posted 20 minutes ago, and there are already like 600 applicants. And they say, well, do I even have a hope that someone from the company will look at my resume if they get so many applications? So do I hear you correctly that you rely on some sort of keywords or AI to quickly identify the correct applicants?
Yes.
So how does it work from your side of the table, so to speak, the recruiters?
So when those applicants come in, we have the capability to go in and do a search within like those 600 resumes that have come through based on our key criteria. So going back to like software engineering and looking for somebody who's team oriented and those different key competencies that we were talking about, communication skills, and do a search, and those will come up in my search within my resume applicant tracking system. And so that 600 goes down to 75. And then they may want to actually refine it even more, which sometimes they will. Otherwise, they may go through all of those 75 resumes, but the rest of them not necessarily reviewed because they don't have those key components. And that is where someone might be missing the boat. If they've got all the skill sets that are being asked for, if they have not outlined them in that resume to make it easy to be picked up on by an AI tool, that's where they're probably missing the boat.
And I will share that Tina has pretty much given everyone a cheat code. I can 100% say and vouch. We don't use that particular applicant. We use success factors, but it's the same thing. So my encouragement for everybody on the line is really tune into what Tina said, and also give a consideration that for most of your positions that are being posted, not only are you applying for it, but you have to go against individuals who have career experience. And you have to also look at individuals who have been in the workforce looking for employment for maybe 1 or 2 years because of the downturn because of COVID, and the business environment has changed. And so definitely, I will say 100% she's spot on with tailoring your resume to when it goes into the tracking system, that you have a better chance of it getting through and getting to that interview. So good words of wisdom there, Tina.
And just to tack on to that, I can't actually stress enough the importance of the resume. And I think Tina really kind of talked about that. But when you have 600 resumes to go through, if I can't understand your resume, I'm going to skip over it and go to the next one. If there's spelling errors or grammatical errors, I'm going to go to the next one. So you really need to spend time making sure that your resume is well written, easy to understand. And you all are in a great position. You have a wonderful career counseling service right there at your fingertips. Go and see those individuals and let them help you put together a great resume, because sometimes you just don't know how to phrase what you actually have experience doing, or how to stress the things that are really important that employers like all of us are looking for when we look at that resume. So spend the time there, because it really is valuable and will help you.
I'm going to add on to that, Kathleen, if you don't mind, because really make it easy to read, but don't write a paragraph about what you do, what you want to do. bullet point it, make it in phrases. Let me be able to scan that and know what you want, what you do, what you're good at. Because if I have to read a paragraph and decipher it, I mean, I'm not going to do it. I might read it at a highlight, but I can tell you 100% my recruiting team is probably not going to do it because they have so many to go through. So make it easy. Just make it easy, make it impactful.
I have a different slant on the internal HR and talent recruiting. So the company that I work for provides a staffing service as one of our solutions. So I've actually worked with Tina when she was over at BF to help her and her team identify technology professionals, not only in the local area, but globally. So there are people out there, recruiters like myself, that have specific industry experiences, and we work with companies like AMAR and like BF and others and Corning to provide hard to find or even unique to find skill sets to those individuals. So I would advise to go out and try and find a recruiter that is specific to the field that you're interested in.
So if I may, one more question related to career, and then there are a few interesting questions not directly related to careers. Entrepreneurial path. So Mukesh is asking, when would be a good time to start your own company if you plan to do it? Some of you have started your companies. So would it be advisable to do it right after college, get some corporate experience first, or maybe never get into that path if you don't want too much stress in your life, I guess? So what would be your advice on the timing and sequencing, I guess?
I mean, that's really a subjective response, because you have to look at, if a person is wanting to be an entrepreneur, what is their business model? What are they going to do? What service are they going to provide? Where are they going to get startup capital? What type of business are they going to do? LLC, corporation. So I think that is a multi-pronged response. But I always tell a lot of individuals, one of the things that we say at Corning, is never waste a chaos. So in times of when there's turmoil or a shift in the economy, I've found a lot of people who found that was the best time to start their business, is when they're like trying to figure out the next move. And they say, well, this is the perfect time. I've been always amazed at people to do that. I don't think I would have the courage and resiliency to do that. But in time of chaos, of uncertainty, they pick the time. But when it's just depending on the persons and their ambitions and overall what they're trying to achieve.
So I'll add on to that, Rob, and I would agree. I think you got to follow your passions. And I will say that when I was in college, I actually started my own company. It was a screen printing company. And I thought it was a great idea and to help me make money during school, which it actually did. It was wonderful. I did it for about 6 years and had a couple of partners and ended up selling the company at a profit. So it was a great idea and it worked well for me. The other thing to think about, though, is that I have my partner in crime, my significant other. He is I think, a lifelong entrepreneur. He went into the work world after MBA school and did it for a number of years. But his passion has always been kind of like starting up businesses, getting them running and then selling them. And he's in the mode of doing that now. He's doing a software as a service company that is really pretty cool. And he's in the process of doing it as a startup. He's been at it for about 6 months now, but I think he's a lifelong entrepreneur. But I think you've got it in your blood when you're doing those types of things. You have to know that this is your passion and you have to explore kind of like what you're majoring in and what you want to do. But some people just know that they love the risk of it all and they love the creativity of it, because it takes a different mindset to really want to do that for your career.
One more question.
Yeah, because I think we, as an entrepreneur, we're set sometimes as in corporate 40 hours a week. Oh no, as an entrepreneur, 60, 70, 80 hours a week. You have to be nonstop on the weekends. And so that is a great point, Tina.
You sleep like a baby, wake up every 2 hours, cry a little bit, sleep some more. One more question, and I guess it relates to the comment about the change, disruptions. So there is a question from Troy DeCellis about the impact of AI on your industries. So do you see that as an opportunity or as a threat or simply as a tool, or maybe it has no impact on your industry at all at this time? Because it seems to be changing quite a lot of things, but maybe some things will never change.
Yeah, so yeah, Terminator was right and correct. 1984, it's here, AI. So for AI and for Corning, it's going to be a huge thing. Actually, we're in the process because of the way that AI consumes power, and it's ran on fiber optics. And so now we're in that position we need to power up all of these AI centers. So when you look at all of your major companies like Google, Microsoft, all of the big players now have their own AI, whatever it's called. And so there's opportunities, I think, for our business to service that, and we'll probably be on the back end of powering that. So AI is here. I know it's for everyone, it's still a little sketchy and figuring out where it will reside and how we will utilize it. But I've already embraced it, and I'm kind of on the side of the fence. It's here. Let's just figure out how we can implement it, how we can use it, and move on. It's here, and it's not going anywhere.
I use AI to help me do pivot tables. I'm just going to be honest.
Amen.
And it's good at teaching you how to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. At VF Corporation, we used AI in so many different places, like with data engineering. We also employed robotics within the manufacturing plants, which used AI. And then even at Big Commerce, being an e-commerce company, we have AI as part of everything that we do. Now in HR, we are employing, or I should say deploying, AI and a lot of the tools that we're bringing in-house to utilize, whether it be within the application process or in the, we're even using it in the interview process to summarize the interviews themselves for managers. So there's just so many ways that we're using it in everything that we're doing. And so, yeah, there's a lot of great things, but you have to also think, wow, what else is there? So
as a manager, it's amazing. Copilot, the notes Copilot takes are scary how good they are, and way better than anybody else manually taking notes on a call. I've used it so many times to create presentations, which would have taken me a good hour and a half. And it can throw something together that then I can go in and modify or clean up in 15 minutes. It's tremendous how much time from a manager standpoint that it's saving. But to Tina's point, it's also a little scary because the more it does that, it makes things easier. We know there'll be an impact down the road at some point, right, on how many headcount you need to do certain things and leaders to do those things too.
I'm afraid it's going to talk back to me one day. It's just not say what I want it to.
It does already.